California. Um, and as you can see, right, he's Libra ascendant. Now, and it's something that he's Chitra ascendant. We know we've heard Chitra probably come out of our mouths quite a few times because brother and I got it in common, and it creates a genius type mind, right? Not to say I'm a genius, right? Not to say that at all, but right, it
You
does
claim it,
create
man. Go
a
ahead.
genius. It creates a genius like ability, right? In whatever field or gift that you have, it can elevate you to really create something that transcends time, that really is um, of value. And so Chitra Nakshatra just does that. Moon, ascendant, right? Ascendant Lord, um, Mars, right? It just because Mars is in his own nakshatra there, it does well there. So as far as creative abilities, so you can see that Chitra is playing out all the way through.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing is that um, he's got some very powerful placements in that he really didn't even have like his whole chart is set up very, very well. His ascendant lord is in Taurus. That's pretty powerful because even though it is in the eighth house, right, it's in its own sign. So for Libra ascendants, it doesn't harm. Venus doesn't harm as much as Venus does bring a lot of changes, right? Venus brings changes, right? New situations, things that demand you to come out of your comfort zone, right? That's what Venus ruling the eighth house will do. But it also rules the ascendant, so it won't necessarily harm you. It will teach you how to change, but it won't necessarily harm you, right? It depends, right? It can at times if it's debilitated or if it's in certain placements or conjunct certain planets or in certain degrees. But for the most part, Venus for Libra ascendants are one of the better planets. For Taurus is different, even though it rules Taurus, right? It's more of an enemy because it has a different positioning, but still very friendly to that ascendant. So as the eighth ascendant Lord being in the eighth house, right? It gives them a ability to go deep,
Yeah.
right? Right.
Yeah.
To pull things out that are different, that come from another place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so um, it's in Rohini, which is a very creative nakshatra. So the guy is very creative, and he has the ability to convey ideas and concepts in a very um, unorthodox way. His
Yeah.
wordplay is different, right?
Yeah.
It's just different. But when
Mm-hmm.
you listen to it and you go back over it again, and it's like that's that's tight because it sometimes it takes a minute for Kendrick stuff to hit you. It did for me because a lot of people's like, man, you sleeping on Kendrick? Oh man, yeah, Kendrick. I sat down and listened to his, and I said, man, that whole album was dope. So you know what I
Yeah.
mean, like Kendrick is definitely that type of individual that is able to transcend, right, just the realm of hip hop. Snoop transcended it. Snoop, when we say transcended, I mean this brother has been in movies. Bone, he has his own movie. Not alone, let alone he's been in movies, in TV shows. He's got his. I mean, he's with Martha Stewart. I mean, go figure, right? He's got his own. Snoop has his own world, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
He has a podcast. Brother, what up? Hey, yeah, you
Yeah.
man, yeah, right. Bring us on. But you know what I mean. He's got his own podcast. He's got his own world. So
Yeah.
he's transcended hip hop. He's a household name. I think he has a star in the Walk of Fame, right?
Yep. Yep.
Right. That just happened not
Yep.
too long ago too, right?
About 2 years, a year or two ago, something
Two,
like
3 years
that. Two
ago,
about
right?
about 2 years,
Right.
yeah, something
Right.
like that.
Right. So again, showing right, life is definitely scripted by that Venus, Malavia Yo. So this guy here though, man, it just the twist of words and the style, I got to really give it up to him. I'm honestly, I wasn't a Kendrick fan at first. I am a Kendrick Lamar fan, right? I really do enjoy his music, and you can see.
Big up to you, bro.
Big up, big up. You know, you know,
he's cold with it, man. I mean,
he is, man. I mean,
yeah, he's a scientist. Well, just like you said, the first lord being in the eighth makes you, can go deep. You can tell that, he doesn't just haphazardly make anything. Everything that he puts out is well thought out, well researched, well, put together and stuff like that. So he's definitely a one of one on that level for sure.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, I have a lot of respect for his craft and his abilities in that craft. So, he's got this whole thing licked with Mercury in the ninth.
Yeah.
Right. With Snoop, it's Mercury conjunct the Malavya Yoga planet. That's what really Snoop's ability comes in, and with the moon, right? That lineup, and it shoots right back to the ascendant. So he is by far a MC, but this guy is seriously. I can see him in 10 to 12 years from now being Snoop times 2, right? Just his ability. Because if you look at this chart, number one, Mercury as the tell-all is in Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
Alone, right? Automatically gives some wordplay. Maybe not hip hop, but maybe just salesman. Maybe some area, they're gonna have a wordplay, some kind of way. Maybe it's with the ladies, right? Maybe the seventh house might be, or business, or it's gonna manifest. Maybe it's fourth house is school, education, excellent teacher, right? Wordplay is gonna be there with Mercury and Gemini, but this is the ninth house, folks. There's a whole nother level to it, right? When it's in the fifth or ninth in its own sign, that is an extremely powerful placement, right? Extremely powerful. Probably more powerful than Malavya Yoga, right? In the sense of wordplay, in the sense of connecting ideas and thoughts through different concepts, through different ways of expressing oneself.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got Mercury in the ninth, in Gemini, right? It's in Purnavasu, which is even better. What Purnavasu does for this is that he's in a Mercury Dasha right now, too. We're going to talk about that in a minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a repetition thing. It's a to and fro thing. So it's like you do something, you go back, and when you do it, it gets better. So literally, right, he'll write something, he'll go back, and he'll make it better, and then better. And then by the time you have it, it's a masterpiece. That's what he's doing right now as we speak. You haven't heard too much about Kendrick. I'm sure he's writing. He's in a Mercury Dasha. It's all over. Now, Mercury aspect back to the third house. That's, again, another boost, because now it's giving the third house the courage, the ability to have that je ne sais quoi with the words, and to say the right thing at the right time at the right place. That's his gift on the track. It's almost, it hits you later. Like, did he say that? He said that, right? Right. Then you go back and then you go back and do what? You play it again, don't you? I know people have had to listen to Kendrick Lamar at least 2 or 3 times to catch it, right?
Yeah.
That's Mercury in Purnavasu. He does it that way, but when we hear it, we do it the same way he does it. Right. Very powerful.
I even picked up not even something just as far as just his actual, lyrics, but I was listening to Pimp a Butterfly not too long ago again, and I was listening to the intro, and in the intro he has like a bunch of different people just talking in the background, saying things or whatnot, and then you hear like a woman in the background. She says, "I'm gonna get my Uncle Sam to come mess you up." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when I first heard it, I didn't think nothing of it. I did, but I wasn't. You know what I mean? But just in light of what's kind of been
mess you up, yeah. No, man, I'm telling you, y'all, what? Go, because it's gonna get better. when
Yeah.
he had that what was that song that he did with the video with um Don Cheadle?
Yeah. The that he did loyalty. Not loyalty. Royal. I got loyalty,
Look,
royalty inside my DNA. DNA. That's it. That's it. That's what it's called. DNA.
cold,
Yeah.
the wordplay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. This man is wicked with this,
Oh
right?
yeah.
You go back and listen, you like he's saying like four, five things at the same time, right? It's dope, right?
Yeah.
So master of words, right? Didn't go to school for it either, right?
Nah.
Right? But yeah, master of words, right? So that
Yeah.
Mercury aspect in the third, right? In the ninth, in its own sign, in Punavasu, which again, you gotta catch you he's so crafty with it, you gotta catch it again to understand it. So, that right there alone steals the show. But
Yeah.
then you have Sun there, also 11th Lord, right, with Mercury in its in so it's so Mars is in the 11th from the 11th, right? That if you count, right, the
Yeah.
ninth is the 11th from the 11th. So again, also showing, and 11th house is gifts, folks, talents, just like the fifth. So is the 11th, right? So gifts and talents, right, with words, and his core, his center, right, is directly in line with it, right? He's born to do this. So the sun in the ninth house in Gemini is strong in and of itself for word mastery.
Yeah.
So he's got two very, and now again it looks back to the third house.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing he has is Mars with Mercury. Now, a lot of times this can if it's not placed in position in a very prominent house, it can give wordplay, but in a way that's um a little I don't want to say unorthodox, but a little bit more
Fire like a
less refined. It's less
yeah.
refined. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because Mars is rough. Right,
Yeah.
it's jagged. Right, it has no smooth sides, so it's more rough. It's less refined. It's less you know unique. Right,
Mm-hmm.
with this Mars is in the ninth house.
Yeah.
Right, and if you check it out, right, Mars aspects the third. So that Mars, even though right, it's with Mercury within 2 degrees, that still benefits that wordplay because it's in the ninth of mastery. It doesn't right. It doesn't harm the individual's output. A lot of times Mars can create frustration with words. Right, they can still get it out, but it's not the flow. It's just different. So the ninth
Well,
house, it does it.
when you listen to him though, I mean, like he can come in different modes, but he has this other mode that he gets to, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's like fighting. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, you're right. He does, and that's that
you know.
Mars conjunction. Right?
Yeah.
Now the third lord is also in play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not something easily to see, but there's a connection, or what we call a sambandha, or a connection. The
Mm-hmm.
third lord, right, is in the seventh. It's in Aries, but where is the lord of Aries? In the ninth, looking
Ninth,
back to the third.
which
So
is
there's a
the
connection between Jupiter and the third,
yeah.
and it aspects the third
Mm-hmm.
from its ninth house aspect. So you see what I mean? Again, showing that this man has a ability to use words all around, bar none.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Moon in the fifth house, very intelligent, very intelligent. Right, right. See, the fifth house, because people say, well, isn't fifth house education? Isn't fifth house it? It isn't. Fifth house is only the education and sense of what you would consider your IQ, right? If you want to know somebody's IQ, it's the fifth house, right? And so the moon being in the fifth gives a very high IQ. The mind is connected with natural intelligence, natural creative aspirational ability, which is what the fifth house does. Creative inspirational ability. Because remember, the sun is the natural ruler of the fifth.
Yeah.
Right. And sun inspires. So when the moon is there, very powerful. Right. And not only that, right, the moon's lord is in the second. The second lord is in the ninth. So it still connects the moon to the ninth house. Even more powerful. Right. So the guy is literally designed to be a word master, right? A word ginsu, because he can use those words and puts them in places. It just makes your head spin. And then finally, when you get it, it's like, whoa, right?
Well, he uses it to communicate higher knowledge, a higher,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. So, definitely showing he's got a Mercury dasha that he's running, right? Saturn is when he blew up. Right. And I believe Saturn Rahu, wasn't it? I want to say Saturn Mars, Saturn Rahu, because he wasn't out before 2009, 2010.
That was around the time when he came in. That era, because he had the Section 80, and I think that came out in like 2008, 2009, somewhere in there.
Right.
So I would say probably more like Saturn Mars or Saturn Moon, maybe in the Saturn Moon into that Saturn Mars period.
Saturn Moon is when he got started, definitely. Yeah. Because that moon is in the fifth.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? That moon definitely kicked it in, right? Moon ruling the 10th house of career in the fifth, right? Definitely got it started. But Saturn Mars definitely got the ball game rolling. And, Saturn Mars is so quick, it's a year. And then Saturn Rahu. And, Rahu's in the sixth. Rahu's Lord is in the seventh. But I can honestly tell you, man, Mercury Dasha is what did it for him. Because Mercury, by that time, he's already, he's in the mix. He's moving and shaking. Mercury Dasha, I want to say a household name, but he's common by that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because before, I didn't know if Kendrick Lamar was in 2010. I had heard of I had heard of, but didn't know, right? But by 2015, I knew who Kendrick Lamar was.
Yeah.
So definitely, you know what I mean? Not to say I'm the person that validates his career or his notoriety, but you know what I mean? Definitely, you can see that at 2015, right? It was on and cracking. And he's in that Dasha now. And he's going to ride that out until, 2032? Yeah, so we can definitely see a lot more lyrical joints come from him. A lot of things drop. Some beautiful stuff coming, I'm sure, especially considering he's coming up with a moon. He's coming to Mercury Moon Dasha, and moon is in the imagination and also creative stuff. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Definitely.
Yeah, man. He did the Black Panther soundtrack.
Sure did. Did well with that. That was a great song, right?
Yeah. Or whatnot. Yeah, he's been getting busy this Mercury.
When you got Dre on your team, man, when you got Dre, because he's with TDE, he's on the same, and he's with Schoolboy. I like Schoolboy Q, right? That's I like Schoolboy Q. A lot of his stuff is coming through too. I looked for his time, I couldn't find it, but he's not. Schoolboy Q is slept on, right? Schoolboy Q got some tight lyrics, man, some dope lyrics, but it's just not. He's just not household stuff material, right? Kendrick can be, he is. So but they're both on TDE, right? But when you got Dre on your side, come on, right?
Well, see, he's not even really working with. I think he worked with Dre a lot on his first album, but since
The
then,
first album, but I'm saying that's the jump off. Like
yeah,
you don't need nothing now. After that, it's like okay, you had please, and please come in. You know what I mean? At that point when you got Dre coming down like that on your first album, who gets Dre on their first album, right? Like, I mean, seriously, like who gets Dre on their first album? People been waiting
Snoop,
10 albums, still ain't got Dre, right? So
Snoop, Snoop,
Snoop,
some
right?
people
See,
like
hey, there
that.
you go, right? That's exactly what it is, right? Right on
Yeah.
time, right? That's why they're there. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? They can or have transcended their genre
Yeah.
or their craft.